push for a friend. Like a best friend.
What the hell?
This week on Talking About the Movies, the cute little fluffy ball of destruction known as Stitch comes to life in live-action form in Disney's latest live-action reboot of one of their animated classics. This time, maybe it's one of the better ones. It's Lilo and Stitch, one of the two big summer blockbusters, the other one being...
Smart people on every side are close to panicking.
What exactly is your plan?
Can we trust Tom Cruise one last time to deliver a kick-ass Mission Impossible movie? And especially considering that this is supposedly the final film in the series, we think. Will the final reckoning be the last one, and will it end it on a high note? We'll find out as two familiar foes go at each other once again in a summer blockbuster showdown 23 years later. And welcome to Talking About the Movies, where we continue my 20-year celebration of me covering the biggest new releases of the weekend. And this weekend, we probably have what I think is the best weekend for blockbusters since Barbenheimer. I mean, you had Barbie and Oppenheimer, and now you have the two movies we're going to talk about here, Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And not only do we have two big blockbusters here, I find it very amusing that 23 years ago, Stitch and Tom Cruise went after each other at the box office, because on June 21st of 2002, the original Lilo and Stitch came out and faced off against the Tom Cruise-starred Minority Report, directed by Steven Spielberg, and in that one, Tom Cruise won the battle that time around. But I got a little bit of a feeling that this time around, that this little guy right here is going to be ready for him. So let's go ahead and talk about this guy's new movie, Lilo and Stitch. So as you can see here, I'm kind of a fan of Stitch. Stitch I've talked about before. He's my favorite Disney character. That's right, you. That's right. Okay, we're going to shut you down for a little bit. We'll talk to you in a little bit, bud. But like I said, Stitch is my favorite Disney character of all time. I mean, it's really not hard to see why. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, how can you say no to a face like this? I mean, but on top of that, you know, he's a universally appealing character. I mean, you look at a guy like Stitch. I mean, yeah, he looks kind of, yeah, for the girls out there, he looks kind of cute. I mean, he looks like a little sweetheart. And for the boys, he's a destructive machine, and that just makes him all the more fun. He's mean-spirited, but he has a good heart to him. I mean, he's the perfect definition of a character that can appeal to every kind of demographic, every kind of universal appeal. I mean, this little guy right here is very good. I mean, he really is much better than most people would give him credit for. That's right. But as you know, as you can kind of tell, I am kind of a fan of Lilo and Stitch. I love the movies. I watched the television show when it was on. And so naturally, when they said they were going to do a live-action animated reboot of it, yeah, I kind of got nervous at first, but then kind of my feelings started to get a little bit more encouraging after I found out who was directing this movie, the same man who made a movie that didn't seem like it really had a whole lot to it, but ended up being one of my favorite movies of 2022.
Tell me about what's life like.
It's pretty much common knowledge that it takes at least 20 shells to have a community. My cousin fell asleep in a pocket, and that's why I don't like the saying everything comes out of the wash. Because sometimes it doesn't, or sometimes it does, and they're just like a completely different person. So it's actually only two of us now. Myself and my grandmother, Nana Connie. We like to watch 60 Minutes because Leslie Stahl is fearless.
Yep, the same director who did Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is directing this movie, Dean Fleischer Camp. And so with that, I kind of got more excited from it. I mean, he did a pretty good job with a movie about a little shell with like a little shell guy voiced by Jenny Slate from Saturday Night Live and Bob's Burgers, and that turned out to be one of the best movies of that year. So yeah, I was more optimistic about Lilo and Stitch, and then the marketing came out, and the marketing did a pretty good job of selling the movie just like how the original film did it. I mean, granted, it wasn't Stitch going around in all the classic Disney animated movies of the time period, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Little Mermaid. It wasn't that type of a thing, but you were still seeing him like... the main focus of the marketing campaign was on this little guy. I mean, this was the main focus of the marketing campaign. So much so that they didn't even bother showing any of the other characters until very late on in the trailers. I mean, the trailers were mostly focused on this guy here, and you know, that was the selling point, I think, for this movie in particular, because when they first showed him off at D23, this guy in live action form, this little guy right here, looked absolutely adorable. And I think Disney realized we got to have a similar marketing campaign to the original film without feeling like it's the copy of the original marketing campaign. And they did a pretty good job at it. They had parody trailers with all the live action reboots. There was a great Super Bowl ad where Stitch ran across the Super Bowl, and you know, they have Joe Buck and Troy Aikman doing the voiceover, and they waited until very late on, when most people already knew that there was a movie coming out, to reveal the other aliens. And truth be told, the other aliens don't look bad at all. I mean, Jumbo and Pleakley look like who you expect them to. So yeah, overall, I was getting cautiously more and more optimistic. And then the reviews started coming out, and the early word of mouth was very, very good. And then the film came out, and so there was a lot of excitement for this movie in particular. And I came out of it, and I'll say this. It's definitely one of the better Disney live-action remakes, but it certainly isn't... I'm not even going to say that, because it is overall a really good movie. I mean, but there are notable flaws to it that we're going to get to as we go along in this review. Because, yeah, there are things about it that did get me kind of like, really? Did you have to do that? But considering some of the more recent live-action reboots we've gotten as of late, like Pinocchio, and even some movies I've liked, like The Little Mermaid and Snow White, this is definitely one that feels like the people who made this knew exactly what they were doing. They knew when to make the specific changes when they needed to. And yeah, I think they did a pretty good job at handling that. And really, I don't think I need to run down the plot for this movie overall if you haven't heard it already. But basically, you have the story of an alien created by this evil alien, Dr. Jumbo Dukiba, played here by Zach Galifianakis. They're both convicted, and, you know, Experiment 626 is supposed to be exiled to an asteroid, and he basically gets loose, and then he lands on the planet Earth, on Hawaii, where he comes across a little girl named Lilo, whose family is in troubling times right now. Her parents are dead, and so her sister, Nani, basically has to come in and help out, basically has to come in and be the caretaker, and she's not really doing a good job at that per se, to the point where a social worker comes in and tells her that basically, like, if you can't keep up, we're gonna have to separate you two. And you know, and Leo's is a very socially awkward person. She has trouble making friends, and she sees a shooting star that turns out to be the spaceship, and basically says, "I wish for a new friend," and it turns out it's this guy. It's this guy right here, who disguised himself, who's as an alien. He's got the 6 arms, the ears, the spikes in the back. But seeing as he's been taken to an animal shelter, he's got to act like a dog in order to save his butt, because Jumbo and Pleakley are right behind, and this guy Pleakley, that is part of the Galactic Federation, are after him. And thus the rest is history. Lilo and Stitch become fast friends, and the chaos around Hawaii gets crazier and crazier, and the film itself gets crazier and crazier, all because of what this little guy right here does to this family and to everyone around him. And yeah, it's very much beat for beat the original Lilo and Stitch movie. I mean, it's very much that, but the notable differences around this movie is that there are notable differences. They make a lot of changes in here. Some I do like, others not so much, but they're not as distractingly bad as some other Disney live-action remakes. I mean, there's stuff in here where, you know, at this point, if you don't like these Disney live-action remakes, then just don't go see them. Don't get on people because you don't like these movies, and if you can't like them, then nobody can. That just makes you look like an asshole, because every time I saw something for this movie, all the changes they made in this film, people were online just bitching and moaning. Even though this is one of the better reviewed Disney live action reboots, they're all just like, "Oh no, you can't do this. Oh no, you can't do that." You know, like, let's just talk about some of the changes they made in here, because that's mainly the main focus of whether or not you're going to be into this or not. If you are very much, you know, into the idea of some changes being made to a storyline here, which I don't think, which, I mean, isn't that the reason why people want to make these live action animated remakes to be good? Wasn't that the reason why most of these shot for shot remakes they were bitching and moaning about beforehand? And so they make these changes. Like, you can't please these people at all. Just like I just think they have a problem with Disney. I mean, I'm telling you, if a Minecraft movie had been released by Disney, nobody would be praising that movie like they were back in April. That's for damn sure. But let's talk about some of the changes they make here, because yeah, there are some notable changes in here. For one thing, right off the bat, the first 15 minutes are like truncated down severely to the first 5 minutes of the movie. Like the whole opening sequence where the Galactic Federation is meeting and they see Stitch for the first time, and the whole sequence of him, from getting sentenced to getting caught, and then escaping, and then taking the police cruiser, taking the red one, and then hyperdriving all the way to Earth. That's a near 15-minute sequence in the original movie. Close to that, 10-15 minutes. They cut that down to 5 minutes. It's like a Cliff Notes version of the opening. It's like, read the charges. Oh, here's the alien. Let's see if there's any good in him. Miga nada Krista. No, sentence him, kill him, and kill the doctor too, pretty much. Then they immediately put him in the thing, and then the security guard's just don't even try to move anything, because these lasers that are pointing at you will hit you. He spits on the guard, gets away, takes the cruiser, takes the red one, then goes into hyperdrive. That's literally the first 5 minutes of the movie, and it's just like, slow down, dude. I mean, keep in mind, this is longer than the original movie is. The original movie is like an hour and a half long. This is like 109 minutes long, I think. 108 minutes long. So I was close, but yeah, it just kept moving at a fast pace, and it's just like why? Like, why are we moving at this fast of a pace overall? It makes no sense whatsoever. Like, you've got all the time in the world. You're a movie. You don't have to do this type of stuff and move along from there. But really, that's part of the weaker the lesser problems of the movie. Another problem that I think is that a lot of people bring up is the fact that, Pleakley's not wearing a dress in this. I mean, what's the deal with not him being a cross-dresser in here? And it's just like, I don't know. Me personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal, because it really doesn't play a part within the movie itself, though. I mean, I get it. I get why some people might not like that, but it's not the end of the world to not have it in there. I mean, like, it just really is not. But the other big change is one of the other changes they have in here. They have characters in here that are very different from where they were in the first film. Like, Cobra Bubbles is in here, but he's not the social worker here. In that movie, he's played by Ving Rhames. Here, he's played by Courtney B. Vance, who did a pretty good job in here, but he's a CIA agent in this one. So who's the social worker here? Well, as it turns out, it's actually Nani from the original Lilo and Stitch, Tia Carrera. And I thought that was actually really good casting, and I was actually really glad to see they didn't make her a surprise villain, because I felt like that could have so easily been something they would have done in something like this. But no, they don't do that. They make her on the same wavelength as Cobra was in the original film. I mean, he wasn't a bad guy in the original film. He was just doing his job, because his job is supposed to be making sure that Lilo is safe in her home, and and Nani can take care of her. And here, it's kind of the same thing. And having the original Nani telling the younger Nani here about the same type of things, I think actually does work well in its favor. I thought they did a very good job of keeping the original voice actors in here in these roles and making it kind of work. I thought the characters of Lilo and Nani were played very well. Lilo is very much, Lilo, played by Maya Kealoha, I thought was very good in here. I thought she did a very good job of playing the role overall, and I really did like what Sydney Elizabeth Agudong, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, as Nani, brought to the table. I thought she was very good here as well. But yeah, like, that's one of the big things changes in here, is that they have Cobra Bubbles in here, but he's not a social worker, and it's Tia Carrera playing a different social worker in general. But maybe the biggest overall thing that I would honestly agree with, I feel is kind of pointless overall by having him being the bad guy in this. First of all, Gantu, the main villain of the show and the movies, is not in here. I don't know if it is, and what they said was they didn't feel like that they could do that character justice with the CG work. And okay, I'll give you that, but did you really have to go with having Jumba being the main villain in this? I mean, he's just a straight up villain in this one. There's no remorse for him whatsoever. It's not like the character from the animated movie or the show. And yeah, I agree. That's not... of all the decisions they made, the changes they made, that's the one I would say, yeah, that's probably not the best decision to go with it, per se. I mean, you could have gotten somebody else overall to be the villain in here. I mean, you could have got... I mean, or even then, you didn't really need a villain. I mean, the original movie honestly didn't have a villain. I mean, Gantu came close, but Gantu was just basically doing his job as a member of the Galactic Federation, and then he eventually became the antagonist in the television show. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure there were other ways you could have gone with it, per se, but it's just like, how the hell are you supposed to bring him back in the next movie and make him a good guy again? I mean, are we going to go down, like, the Fast and Furious route, or are we going to make it like Sonic the Hedgehog, where, you know, Dr. Robotnik is the evil one, and then he's kind of like the frenemy to Sonic? I mean, is that where we're going in the direction of it? I feel like we're going down that direction, per se, but I don't know. I mean, that's the one that I can agree with. That's probably not the smartest decision overall to do, but Zach Galifianakis wasn't bad in it. He actually did have a couple of good, funny moments in there, and like I said, the visuals on him were pretty good overall on the aliens. I mean, the aliens did look pretty good. Hannah Waddingham as the grand councilwoman looks like the grand councilwoman from the original film, and it's Hannah Waddingham doing the voice, and that just fits her to a T. I think they did a pretty good job at that. You know, they brought in Amy Hill, Miss Wong from the original movie, to be like the next door neighbor, and you know, I thought they did a very good job with that storyline overall with her, like her and her what is it, his son, I think, David. Is it? I guess they don't really say in here, but he's David in the movie. He's David from the original film, but like I thought he was like the son of this neighbor, but no, I don't think it really says anything about that. But yeah, I thought everybody in here did a pretty good job. The casting overall was really good. But kind of going back to some of what the people that criticized the changes and all that, I mean, I swear to God, like I said, there has to be a thing called selective hatred for something. Like it's amazing how when it comes to these Disney live-action remakes, everybody always goes in ready to hate it. Like, they're not willing to give it a chance whatsoever. I got reamed for saying something like that last week about Hurry Up Tomorrow. Like, I did a video on TikTok. That's like a little preview for the review to come. And I basically used the Nostalgia Critics clip from Cool as Ice, where he's laughing in the intro, like, like he can't believe how silly and stupid this is. Because Hurry Up Tomorrow is a silly, stupid movie. And then down in the comments, somebody was just like, so you're basically saying you didn't give it a chance. And somebody also said, so you basically have no idea what the hell you're talking about. And it's just like, no. Let me make one thing perfectly clear here. As much as I say that I don't like some movies getting made, I have a thing, like, we've been getting a lot of pointless sequels coming as of late, and I don't like most of those. But here's the thing. I will never go into any of these movies ready to hate it. I am willing to give every single movie that I see a full chance to prove me wrong. That's all it really comes down to. Prove me wrong. Prove that my fears of this movie not going down the pathway that I think you're going to take it down are not going to go that way. And more times than not, it does work. It actually works out in the favor of proving me wrong. I mean, I do that a lot in life in general, like with my sports teams. You know, when I feel like they aren't trying, I go online and say, hey, you guys are terrible. This is your chance to prove me wrong. Show me that you actually care about actually winning and actually doing something about it and stopping your competitors. And 9 times out of 10, that doesn't work on that front either. But it's just like, every time they do one of these movies, people are just ready to hate it from the get-go and never give it a fair shot. I don't do that with movies. I want to make that specifically clear. Every review I've ever done, I've gone into it giving a movie its day in court. You have to give a movie its day in court. Like Roger Ebert said in the critic video that he did with Gene Siskel. You have to give a movie its day in court. You can't just be ready to dismantle a movie. You have to go into it with at least a thread of hope and give it a chance to prove you wrong. And yeah, The problem is a lot of people don't want to do that anymore, and that really is one of the major problems with this world right now, is that we're so ready to hate on something before it even comes out that we're never even going to give it a fair chance to do anything. Like, I've been going off against the new How to Train Your Dragon remake, because yeah, I think it's just going to be a lame shot-for-shot remake of it. But you know what? I'm still going to go see it. I want it to prove me wrong. I want them to prove to me that this isn't just a shot-for-shot remake, and not it's a shot-for-shot remake that isn't that as good as memorable as the original film. Like, kind of like with this movie here, they didn't do that. They went in a different direction that I thought actually worked out for the most part in the film's favor. I mean, yeah. Bottom line, prove me wrong. Like every movie out there, every TV show that I ever want to review, prove me wrong. Don't let my early thoughts be the indicator that that's the review I'm going with this film. Like, give me a chance to allow me a chance to let me see what you did, and I will grade you the way I think you actually presented it to me. Like, if you made a good movie, I'll give you a good review. If you made a bad movie and you didn't impress me, I'll give it a bad review. I'll give points to whether or not I like something or not. But yeah, the bottom line is that people just really need to give a film a chance. Give everything a chance. And this is a movie where I would say, give it a chance, because it actually is a whole lot better than anyone would give it credit for. I mean, this really is a really solid film overall. And like I said, there are notable flaws to it. Like I said, the whole thing about making Jumbo the villain is pretty lame. It's great to hear Chris Sanders again as the voice of Stitch, but I found it kind of weird that they actually kind of reused clips from Lilo and Stitch. Like, there's parts where you can definitely tell. If you've watched the original Lilo and Stitch lately, you can still see, like, you can still hear parts where it's the same, but it's Stitch doing the same thing, the same line readings as he did in the original movie. Like, the whole thing with, like, the opening where he's just like, Miga Nana Krista. Like, it's literally the same voice work as the original movie. And even in the ending when he's talking about, this is my family, I have found it on my own. That is, it's almost verbatim. It's literally the same clip from the movie. And yeah, that can be distracting at times, but there are definitely a lot of moments where he does talk normally. Like, he does have a normal, you do have a normal sense that that lines were recorded for you with the with the film that we have here. But it really is something where it is very distracting to hear the same voices over and over again, kind of like this. Now, you're not going to do it, are you? Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit distracting, but once in a while you do get used to it. Okay, shut you off right now. But yeah, is there anything else I want to say about the movie? I guess if there's anything else I can honestly say about it is that, yeah, it really is one of the better Disney live-action remakes. And it reminded me of the ones that I really do like a lot. Like this is right up there with stuff like Cinderella, 101 Dalmatians, The Jungle Book, Christopher Robin. This is definitely very high up there with some of the best Disney live-action remakes they've ever done. I mean, this is a really solid movie. It's a really good, fun adventure, but I want to specify that it's never going to top the original. No matter what any of these remakes do, they're never going to top the original. And it's not like the original is being taken away from you by any means necessary. You could still find the originals out there. But as a remake goes, it did its job well. I think it is a very good movie. It's hard not to love these characters, and the connection is still between Lilo and Stitch. The connection is still there between Nani and her sister. That's another thing I wanted to bring up too. There was a lot of rumblings, like going back to those online criticisms. Like, there was a whole thing about, oh, how dare they play Uptown Funk in this movie? Like they make it seem like they literally stopped the movie so that Stitch can do Uptown Funk. And if you watch the movie, you see that Stitch actually goes into a wedding reception where they are playing Uptown Funk. It's an after party, and the song is playing in the background. So the movie doesn't stop because of that. It's playing in the background. Like, they make it seem like they stopped the whole movie so he could just go around and dance to Uptown Funk, and that's not the case at all. Not by any means necessary. And I also loved how, kind of a spoiler here for the end of the movie. So if you don't want to do that, just go ahead and turn it off for about 2 minutes, but at the end of the movie, the big thing is that there's this whole subplot about Nani possibly going to be a marine biologist and going off and leaving Lilo behind, but the neighbors, Amy Hill and also David and the guy who plays David, they end up saying that we'll take care of her for you while you're away. And they still connect. You can still see a scene where Lilo is talking to her, is talking to Nani from the naval, from the area that they're at. And even at the end of the movie, there's a thing where Jumba has this transport gun, which is kind of a fun little running gag. And she takes it, and at the end of the movie, you see them together again. So they're not completely separated for good. I mean, it doesn't ruin the overall message of the movie. Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten. Like, they're still there. They still do meet each other at the end of the movie. So it's like, yeah, the whole thing about the message of the movie being completely tarnished and taken away, that's not the case here at all either. And it does end on a really nice, sweet image of the three of them, Lilo, Nani, and Stitch together. And it is a very nicely done scene. It's a very good movie. It's a very good moment. Yeah, it's not the same beats for beats as the original film. You don't have the subplot, but you don't have kind of the subplot where, the ugly ducking element that comes into play like in the original film. But the film doesn't need to do that because the director knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what he needs to do to make an adaptation that doesn't feel like a retread of the original or feels like an insult to the original film. That's not here in this movie. The guy is putting his effort into this, and he really is doing a very good job for the most part, delivering what he thinks is entertainment value to the people out there. Like, it's a simple, straightforward adaptation that does some things that are actually much better than the original, but it never takes away from the love of the original film in general. I mean, there is a lot there to admire about the film. It's a really good movie. It's a really fun film. If you go into it with the right mindset, you really do find a lot to enjoy about it. So yeah, I really enjoy this film a lot. I think it's a very good film. Lilo and Stitch, thumbs up. I give it a real good thumbs up. I think it is a very enjoyable film. Go into it with the right mindset, and you'll have a good time with it. So we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. So, Stitch, any final words for the lovely audience out there on YouTube? Okay, all right. I'm going to put him away right now, but stick around. We'll be right back with my review of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Such a foul language. Alright, so we're back, and Stitch is currently aside right now, and won't be the last time you'll see him on this channel, and he's just taking a little nap right now. Yeah, that's right, buddy, I'm talking about you in there. But anyway, that's enough with Lilo and Stitch. Let's talk about the other big new release this weekend, and that is, of course, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, the film that's being marketed as the final Mission Impossible movie, but is it really? I mean, they always say it's the final adventure, but then it's never that because people come in here thinking it's going to be the last time, and then the studios use that as the con to be like, haha, we got you, it's another sequel coming. And, yeah, you'll be asking that question at the end of this movie because they don't really do a good job of making it seem like this is the final film. But, in this one, Tom Cruise returns as Ethan Hunt, and his IMF team continue their search for the terrifying AI known as the Entity, played by Esai Morales, who has infiltrated intelligence networks all over the globe, with the world's governments and a mysterious ghost from Ethan's past on their trail. Joined by new allies and armed with the means to shut the Entity down for good, Hunt is in a race against time to prevent the world as we know it from changing forever. I've kind of already touched on the Mission Impossible movies beforehand. I pretty much have summed up my thoughts on all the movies when I did Dead Reckoning a couple years ago, and my thoughts really haven't changed that whole much on those movies. Just to kind of sum it up, Mission Impossible, I like the first one a lot, the 96 one. Mission Impossible 2, not so much. 3 through 6, I like those ones. I think they got better with each film. 3, Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, I think, is the highlight. And Dead Reckoning, I think, is the weakest of is the second weakest of the second worst of the series, behind Mission Impossible 2. But it kind of falls into the same traps of most two-part movies. Because remember, that was a two-part movie. This was supposed to be a part 2 of that series. And most two-part movies, I've noticed, don't really have a lot of good stuff in one half of the movie, whether it's the first half or the second half. There's only been a few examples where both parts of a two-part adventure have actually made it work. Back to the Future and the Avengers. But then most times it's like Harry Potter had one half of it not as strong as the other half. You know, the Hunger Games definitely had that happen to it. Another, I guess, Twilight, if you will, if you want to go deep into that route. But you get the idea. Like a lot of times, whenever they do two-part movies, it seems like there's always a little bit of less effort being put into the first film than there is to the second film, because the second film is where all the action comes into play here, and this one in particular, it really is one of those things where it's just like, what's your thoughts on Dead Reckoning? What did you think of that movie in particular? I personally, like I said, I think it's the second worst of the MI series. Going into this one, I will say that it's definitely, what you feel about Dead Reckoning, you're going to feel about the Final Reckoning, because it really does feel like the lesser of the Mission Impossible movies. It's still not a bad movie. It's a good movie, but there are definitely a lot more noticeable flaws with this one, just as much as there were in the first film. For one thing, let's start off with the positives here, because the positives are still very much positives. The casting overall is still really good. Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Henry Czerny, Angela Bassett, they're all doing their parts very well here. The action sequences are top-notch. This thing cost $300 to $400 million, becoming the most expensive movie ever made at the time. It's still the time, as of the time of recording this, but you could definitely see it on the screen. You could still tell that they put a lot of effort into these effects and these action sequences. They don't feel like they're done by a computer. They feel like Tom Cruise is doing this in real life, and that's what's basically been the strength of these movies in particular. You know, the fact that Tom Cruise does all of his own stunts, and that gets people so excited for him. And yeah, it's a way to sell people the movie in general, but yeah, as good as those elements are, there are a lot of elements in here that do really hurt the film in the long run. Let's start with the biggest problem of it all. The runtime. This is a nearly 3-hour Mission Impossible movie, and it'd be worth it if there was something in there that would have expanded on the last film in particular, or would have done more to kind of wrap the story up here. But I think the biggest problem with the movie is that they made this film knowing that they thought they were going in this making it with the possibility of another movie, and then halfway through it, someone basically came in and said, "Oh, by the way, we're going to make this the final Mission Impossible movie, so you better have our ending planned here." And I think someone who wrote this movie realized, "Oh shit, we don't have an actual ending for the storyline here, so we got to put one together." And the ending feels like it comes together at the last minute. Like, it doesn't feel like it's earned. It doesn't feel like it really adds to the whole grand scheme of the storyline in general. It doesn't really feel like you get closure from it, per se. Like, it feels like they're setting it up for maybe it to be the last one, but they're also kind of setting it up for a potential sequel if this becomes a success, which, I mean, it might, but that budget might be a big problem going forward. But that's one of the major problems with it. The story overall is very confusing, and the first half of it, the first less than an hour is like literally just recaps. Like, here's what you missed in the last Mission Impossible movies, and it's just like you didn't need to have that in the movie. You could have easily taken that stuff out and just focused on the storyline that we left off on in Dead Reckoning Part 1, and we wouldn't have a problem with it. But unfortunately, that's just the direction the movie goes in, sadly. Honestly, the first hour of the movie is where it really is very sluggish, and it's just like nothing is going on in that first half where you're trying so hard to stick with it, and it's boring. There's nothing about it that adds it to anything in the storyline. It really feels like a segment that you could have cut out of the movie, and we would have had an easy 2-hour runtime for this, and that really could have probably helped the movie in the long run. But that first hour is so agonizing, and it's just like, come on, just get on with it already. Like, we're waiting to get to the point that you were setting up in the last movie, and you don't really do anything with it. And that's really why I think the film really is just all kinds of screwed up. The script overall is a mess. Like, it's not engaging whatsoever. And again, it doesn't feel like we're looking at the last installment of the Mission Impossible series here. It felt like a film that was intended to be another continuing adventure, and then halfway through it, they realized the series got to come to an end. So we gotta find a way to like put together an ending and make it seem like it's easy to put in there, and it just isn't. It just really is not put in there all that well. On top of that, the villain from the last movie, who had a promising idea to it, Ethan Hunt going up against an AI creature, basically played by Esai Morales. He was intimidating in the first movie, and you're thinking, oh, if this is what he did in the first movie, I can't imagine what he's going to do in the second movie. And they dumb him down big time. He's a terrible villain in this movie. This guy is absolutely a lame villain. Like, they took a cool concept and then just turned him into a lame villain because, remember when we went on strike a couple years ago because of AI? Well, it seems like more and more as time goes on, we want to be more friends with AI. We want to be more friends with the thing that was literally going to shut down Hollywood for half the year 2 years ago. And now it feels like they dumbed down the character. I feel like they did that because the fact that AI is going to take over Hollywood no matter how hard we try to avoid it. It's just bound to happen. And this movie's just like, well, we can't say anything bad about AI, and let's make it. And it's just like, he's not a very good. The villain here sucks. This is a really, really lame villain. And on top of that, they add new characters into the story where it's just like, I mean, we're trying to wrap this up here, people. We don't need you to keep adding new characters that we're supposed to follow here. You've got Katie O'Brien from Love Lies Bleeding in here, who's kind of a pointless character thrown in there. Who's another? They have Janet McTeer, which it's cool to see Janet McTeer again. It's been a while since we've seen her in anything. I mean, she was somebody who got an Oscar nomination early on for Tumbleweeds, but Nick Offerman is in here again, which is just wait. Was he in the last one? I can't remember if he was in the last one or not. No, I'm thinking of Carrie Elways. Carrie Elways from the last movie is back in this one. But yeah, they added Nick Offerman as the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff. Like they add all these people in here, and it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we adding all these other names in here? Like, none of it makes any sense whatsoever. Like, it made sense for Henry now I'm butchering his name. Henry Cernery to come back in this movie because he was in the last movie. It makes sense for, Palm Clementine to come in here, it makes sense for Haley Atwell to be here. It makes sense for Angela Bassett to be here. It makes sense for a good majority of these people to be in here, but then you add these new characters, and it's just like, what are we really adding to this whole thing? It's just like, we're supposed to be wrapping the series up, remember? Like, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense whatsoever why we're going down this pathway. And it's just like the movie stumbles to really get to an overall satisfying conclusion. But then again, that leads to the positives again. The positives overall, there are things about it that are still very good. Like I said, the action sequences, the casting is still really good. Even in the ending, I like the fact that they kind of tied it back together with the first film. I mean, one of the characters is revealed to be the son of Ethan's original team leader, Jim Phelps, from the original Mission Impossible movie, and they kind of tie back to the original series, which I thought that was kind of intriguing, and I wish they kind of would have delved into a little bit more since this is the last film of the series. It really doesn't feel like this is the last film of the series. I feel like there's going to be somehow, some way, another Mission Impossible movie coming out down the road where, maybe Tom Cruise appears in it for a little bit and then he'll be out, and then it'll be kind of like what the first movie did, where they had all these big names in the first half of it, they didn't come back, and then the main focus was on Tom Cruise. Maybe they'll do the same thing with that while having a new team coming in to be at the forefront of this new Mission Impossible storyline. And I think that might be something that they may end up doing with a sequel. I feel like that's probably the next logical route here, because I really don't think this is the last time we're seeing Mission Impossible on the big screen. I mean, it just doesn't feel that way. So, I guess in conclusion, with Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, it's not a bad movie. It's a good movie. I think it definitely delivers what the audiences want to see. The good action sequences, the acting by the actors, everybody here playing their part very well. Christopher McQuarrie, a good director who's worked well with Cruise in the past, and he does work well here. But the story and the script, it really is all over the place, and the runtime is ridiculous. The first hour could have easily been cut out of the film, and you would have had a really good film. But that first half just really kind of ruins it, and it just really is just like, let's just get going already, for the love of God. Like, like, if anything, I want them to do another one so they can give us a real final conclusion. Like, give us the real final Mission Impossible movie where you actually are planning on doing the final film. Make it the last film, you know. Call it Mission Impossible. This will self-destruct in 5 seconds, something like that. You know, just like, give us a real conclusion where you actually have a plan to conclude the film. This one doesn't really feel like it started off as the conclusion of the series, and instead it's just something where halfway through they realize they're ending it, and they just have to write a script in like ending in like 5 seconds. Like, it really felt like they went down that route with this film. So overall, yeah, I like it, but it's definitely not one of the better Mission Impossible movies. I still give it a thumbs up. I still think it is a good, fun summer entertainment movie, and it's worth seeing on the biggest screen possible. But I mean, if you're going in there expecting some of the best of the MI series, it's not here with this movie. So yeah, I give it a thumbs up, but with trepidations. Go into it. Did you like Dead Reckoning? You're probably going to enjoy this one. It's not going to be as good as the other ones, but you'll still get some enjoyment out of it. At least that's how I went with it. So anyway, that's going to wrap up this rather long episode of talking about the movies. We have two of the big summer releases coming out this weekend, and then we have a summer release coming out next weekend too. Karate Kid Legends with Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio returning in their roles from the reboot of Karate Kid in 2010 and the original Karate Kid as they train a new student. And that's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out, because you're going up against these two movies. And the word of mouth has been very interesting. Early word of mouth was not that strong, but I have to think there is at least somewhat of an idea of a good movie here. I don't think they're going to go down the route where they're just doing it because, hey, Karate Kid's popular again because of Cobra Kai. I hope it doesn't go down that route, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. But we'll see next week when I take a look at it. So with all that said, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to hear what I had to say last week about Final Destination Bloodlines, and Hurry Up Tomorrow, excuse me, go ahead and check out the video, check out the playlist below, some of the other reviews I've done, and also hit that like button, the subscribe button, the notification button, and the bell, where you get updates on when new videos come out. We post new videos here every day too. So with all that said, we'll leave you with a look at movies coming out on Blu-ray and DVD this week, and with that said, I'll see you guys next week. So until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.